This is Tokyo State of Mind, and I'm so thrilled to introduce today's guest. Not only she's known for her roles at dramas like Mischevious Kiss and Death Note, but she's also a successful documentary filmmaker who just got her documentary Cry Teacher, Namidano Sensei, featured in New York Times. So, hi Noemi.
Hey.
I'm so happy that you came today.
I'm so happy to be here. Also because you just told me before the podcast started that you watched the TV series Mischevious Kiss.
Yes, I did. I did.
I can't believe that. That's crazy. It was ages ago.
Yeah, but I watched it like 5 years ago, I guess, and it's still fresh in my mind. So I'm happy that I'm sitting next to the superstar.
Did you know it was me because I was blonde? I don't look like this at all.
Exactly. And I think that's something that they do a lot during the movies. They just like, let's make a super foreign looking person by putting the person with brown or black hair like into this crazy wigs.
Yeah, I had a wig, so it was pretty bad. Like you can totally tell it's a wig. Like I think there's black hair a little bit here, and it's really big, and yeah.
So going back to the topic of your movie, you started as an actress.
Yes.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
While you were a kid, and tell me your story. How did you get into the movie industry here in Japan?
So I was taking acting classes when I was a kid in France, but just for fun. Like a lot of my friends were taking theater classes because you just get to play around and have fun on weekends.
Did you have free school trips for that too?
No, I did not. Yeah, I did not have school trips for that. We were just at the theater every weekend, which was nice. But I never thought about doing it as a job or like seriously. I was a really serious kid. I was reading a lot of books. And I wanted to work for the United Nations. So I wanted to do political science.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with what I'm doing now. So I went to uni. I did political science, international relations, blah, blah, blah. And I came to Japan. I switched to universities. I came to university in Japan. And then I was just doing like small modeling jobs on the side just to make pocket money. And then I got a casting for a TV series. I was like, yeah, why not? Oh, let's just go. And then I got the job and I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty nice. And it was a TV series with a great actor called Gaku Hamada Gaku. I don't know if you know him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a pretty big deal at the time. So I was like, oh, actually, maybe I can do this more seriously and make a living out of this and maybe not be a really serious political science person. So I started doing more castings and then I got bigger jobs like Itazura na Kisu and things like that. And I was like, okay, I think I can do this full time.
I see.
And my parents were not happy.
Why?
They were like, what? Because they're both diplomats.
So that's where the United Nations dream comes from.
I think so. So they're not at all into, creative arts related industry. Mm-hmm. So for them, it was more like a hobby. So it's like, really? Are you going to do this full time?
I see. And how, I know that generally in the world, there is this preconception that you cannot make money of arts and things. How was it hard for you, like, to convince your family that what you're doing is actually not like a stupid decision or something?
Good question. I think I was really lucky because the first roles I got in Japan were pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
So just like I remember the dad when he saw me on the poster, he was like, "What? That's you?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh," and he started texting my whole family. He was like, "She's in a movie." I was like, "Okay, now you're supportive, huh? Now that I'm on the poster, you like my job." So yeah, I think I was lucky because the first jobs were, out there. People were going to see them, so it was kind of a proof that it could work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they were definitely helping me financially for a couple of years, the first years. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, suddenly you can make money and make a living out of this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think they're very supportive now. I mean, they realize that I'm just really happy doing what I'm doing, I guess.
That's cool.
Hi, mom. Hi, dad. No, I'm kidding. They're not gonna watch this.
Why not?
Okay. Hi.
That's cool. And you worked with a lot of famous actors and people in the industry. Who do you think was the person that you were excited to work the most, or somebody who surprised you?
Oh my god, that's a horrible question. Who surprised me the most? That's a really hard one. Okay, I had a 1 day shoot, really short, on Death Note with Ikematsu-san. I don't know if you know him.
Is it the person who's
Ikematsu.
he's also a Seiyu?
Is he? I guess so. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he's mainly an actor.
Mm-hmm.
But he was one of the leading roles in Death Note. He does a lot of films now.
Mm.
She's saying yes, so yes, yes.
Oh,
That's him.
Katya knows him. That's
Yeah,
cool.
you know him. Yeah, she knows him. But I didn't. I'd seen him in films before, but I didn't know anything about him.
Mhm.
And in Japan, the acting style is very different to Europe,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
So it's in Japan, I feel like it's very over the top, and you have to really explain and show the way you feel. Like if you're angry, you have to be like, I'm angry. And if you're sad, you have to be like, I'm sad. Like you have to really show what you're feeling. Whereas, for example, in France, it's totally not that.
Mm.
Um, and then Ikematsu Sosuke was, I think, the first person I met who wasn't acting like that. Like
Mhm.
he was really playful. If he wanted to try something different on set, he would try it. He would always try to make things more interesting and try new things and change the dialogue to make it,
Mhm.
to surprise the other actors, the director, which was really great. And I think I've never met anyone else in Japan who does that.
Really?
Usually, when you have the lines, they come and they just stick to the script or to the way it's supposed to be, which is fine. But it was really refreshing to meet someone who wanted to try new things.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And do you think that even the big name actors and actresses, they don't have much of a control, like during the film production of their expressions and their acting style?
Yeah, I don't know if it's control. I think that if they wanted to do something different, they could.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like a lot of people expect good acting to be like this. In
Mm-hmm.
Japan, it's like if you want to be a good actor, you have to be able to act over the top, and you have to be able to act
Mm-hmm.
like how the other movies and TV shows are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think for them, it's more like I have to do this because that's what people want me to do.
Mm-hmm. And
And yeah.
do you think that that's the reason why a lot of Japanese movies don't go successful internationally? Because people just look at them like, "Hey, you're kind of overreacting. I don't like it."
Yeah, that for sure. But I mean, yes, overacting for sure. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of Japanese movies that are successful abroad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think a lot of them don't try to be successful because they're fine
Was a domestic
being limited.
market.
Yeah, they're fine with just having the domestic market. The stars are famous in Japan, everyone knows them, whereas abroad, no one knows them. So why would you want to? I don't know.
Hey, did you see our subscribers? Oh, you are our subscriber. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe button. Plus, leave the comments so Toki's State of Mind can create more great content for you. Enjoy your video. I see. And also, you are half Japanese. Like
Yeah.
your mom is French and your dad is Japanese. Do you think what kind of struggles you have here, like as a hafu, like in your industry, and what are the things that people do misunderstand about you?
I think okay. So honestly, I think the word hafu is very broad,
Mm-hmm.
and I am one of the lucky ones. I think there's a big difference between being half white,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote marks, like for example European or Northern American,
Mm-hmm.
and being half like someone from Southeast Asia, China, Korea, Philippines, other Southeast Asian countries, where I feel there's way more inherent racism towards them.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I know a lot of people who are partly Korean, but they would never want to tell their friends. It's like I don't want to talk about this background because they feel like they're gonna
Be
be
judged.
seen, be judged or be seen in a more negative way, which is pretty ironic because if you're on the opposite side, half French or half British, it's like, wow, you're Parisian. Oh my God, you're so cute. And you're like, no, not really, you know?
Mm.
So, yeah, I think when people say half, they forget that there's also, it doesn't mean half white all the time. And me being half French, I think I was really lucky because people are always like, wow, I love France, I love French food, I love French films. So, you know, I didn't really have a hard time with that.
I see.
Yeah.
But do you feel like when the movies are promoting, when there are movies promoted, people are marketing it, oh, like there's a half Japanese actress or something?
It's definitely the case for like TV, like variety show, variety.
Yeah.
Magazines where it's like, oh my God, the model is half. She's so cute. She's so pretty, which I found really annoying because why would Japanese people always have to look up to people who are non-Japanese, right? Like that's not the same. Why would you want to compare?
Yeah, it's
Like,
always
that's ridiculous.
It's always like exchange. So for people who don't really see that many Asians people, they come and say, oh, Asians people are so beautiful, and for Asians who don't see that many white people, like, oh, white people are so beautiful, and it's like it's an old time thing
for sure. Yeah. So yeah. For movies, I feel like it's less the case because I feel like there's less roles for people who are not completely Japanese. When I started out, it was really hard to find roles where they would want to cast me because I don't, even if I'm half Japanese, I don't look really Japanese at all compared to other people. And even if I'm fluent in Japanese and I grew up in Japan and I have my master's in Japan and I have Japanese boyfriends and a Japanese dad, they were like, nah, I don't think you're Japanese. So there's so many roles that I couldn't do just because they didn't feel I was Japanese enough. And I was really annoyed at that because what is really Japanese, you know? Like, so if you look Japanese but you grew up your whole life in the States and you don't speak Japanese, are you more Japanese than me? I'm not sure, you know?
What is the standard?
What is this? I found it stupid to just have a random standard and just be like, nope, yes, nope. So that was really annoying. Yeah.
I like this joke that even Japanese people cannot become Japanese sometimes.
Yeah, I know. It's exactly that. So yeah, I have no chance.
That's nice. So your documentary was quite a success. Like it was featured in New York Times, and it when I was watching it, as a person who also comes from a journalism background, I couldn't notice, but how much of a great job you did in terms of first like tackling this very sensitive issue of like adults vulnerability, and second, how did you do Earth find this guy like to actually be featured in your movie?
So
and
I was
talk
on
about
Tinder. No, I'm kidding. I was like, oh yes, swipe right.
I like crying. If you like crying too,
let's hang out,
let's
baby.
hang out.
Yeah. No, that is not true. Mom, stop watching. No, I'm kidding. But so normally I do fiction. I do a lot of fiction shorts. I write fiction scripts, so I don't work in documentary. And I was doing research for a script I was writing for fiction, and I was doing research about, you know, people in Japan, whatever. And I came across this guy on internet, and there's a whole crying boom in Japan. So he's not the only one. There's other agencies that do the same thing, where, you know, they make workshops and people come and they show really sad videos, and then they people cry and then you wipe the tears and things like that. And I thought that was great, so I wanted to use it for my film, for my script. So I wrote a whole character based on him in the script. And then I reread it and I was like, it doesn't make any sense because no one believes that it's a thing. You know, you think it's sci-fi or some kind of like, what? It's so weird that a guy has a job and his job is making people cry, right? So like, it doesn't work. So I took him out of the script. As a fiction, it didn't work. And I said, I'm just going to do a small documentary portrait about him. Because if it's documentary, I mean,
You just follow
you're
the
faced with the
person.
facts. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's his job. That's it.
Mhm.
It's not like some kind of imagination thing.
Mm.
So I asked the cameraman I usually work with to just come with me for a couple of days and follow the guy. And we followed him for a couple of days. And we didn't like I had no idea it would be something about vulnerability or, men committing suicide and the pressure of society. I just assumed it would be something a little bit fun and light about someone making people cry. And that's it. And it turns out it became something a little bit more
I see.
deep, I hope.
Mhm. Yeah.
But it wasn't planned.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sorry.
I thought this was more for the vulnerability and emotions, and because I couldn't notice living here about how many people here live under the like constant pressure, and the pressure of not expressing emotions. Like you go on a train and you're not supposed to laugh, you're not
Yeah.
supposed to even drink water,
I know.
even if it's
Sneeze.
even it's hot. Yeah. So what is your personal intake about the vulnerability situation in Japan?
Oh, it's bad. That is my conclusion. It's bad. No, but you're so right. And I think I realized that a lot of my work is around vulnerability. A lot of the shorts I did or the stories I write are about people either who don't know how to be vulnerable and they try to find a way to open up. Yeah. And I think so. I moved to London for a couple of years. A couple of years ago, I moved to London and I'm normally based there now. And I think moving there has made me realize how much pressure there was in Japan, like inherent pressure in all the layers of society. And I feel like if you come to Japan as a tourist, or if you come here and you're only living a couple of years, at first you don't really realize it. I think you really need to speak the language, but also understand the like little nuances, not just the language, but like, the way people move or like the distance they keep. Yeah, kukyoyomu, like read the air, there's so many little things that I think you don't really get when you first come to Japan. So a lot of my friends come here and they're like, wow, it's an amazing country, the food is great, the people are so nice, blah blah blah. And they're right, it's an amazing country. But I've been living here for so long that I not only you're aware of all these little things that force you to fit in a box, but also you just get stuck in the box. For me, like I was like, I can't, like I feel like I'm not being myself because I always have to be really careful about the way I move, the way I speak. Yeah. And this has nothing to do with the fact that I was acting. Like even if I was doing a job that has nothing to do with media, I think I would totally be the same. Like you always feel like you have to play a role. So moving to London made me realize I was like, oh, I can just be myself now. This is great. So yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to actually put physical distance between me and Japan to like take a step back. But I know a lot of people who just live here their whole life and they can't afford to like, take a little step back and be like, oh, okay, this is becoming a little bit too much. So I think it's really hard when you're just in this environment all the time. Like mental health, it's really taboo. I don't know if you know any people, for example, who have like mental health issues.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but do they go to like therapists here? Do they talk about it? I don't know any friends who talk about it,
I think it definitely depends. One thing that I have noticed by myself is that people, especially the way how friendship works here, it's very, very different. Like I feel for a lot of my Japanese friends, because I'm a foreigner, they're more open to me.
Yeah.
Versus like other Japanese peers. It's like in front of them they need to have this certain face and image.
Yeah.
But in front of foreigner they can say
loosen up.
Yeah, loosen up and just be themselves and like talk about their weirdest things and just not be judged, I guess.
Yeah, but that's so true. And I have so many, for example, I have this friend in Japan and we were really close, friend from uni. And after like 4 years, I discovered he was gay. And I was really shocked. I was like, how could you, first of all, you never told me. We were really close. But also I never realized how bad it is for you to actually have to hide this from like your closest
Close
friends,
friends,
right? Like,
yes.
I understand if you don't go and tell like the kombini guy, that's fine. Like, don't go and tell, random people. You don't have
Yeah.
to. But like close friends, really? And that made me realize, I was like, oh, okay, it's actually quite, yeah,
I see.
tense. Tense is the word? I don't know, but intense maybe.
Intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
After you released your documentary, did you get what kind of feedback did you get from people?
So the documentary, it's pretty new. So it went on the New York Times in July, so that's 2 months ago. Um, and I think what surprised me the most is that when I made it, I thought it was really going to be for a Japanese audience, mainly for Japanese people I knew, and I wanted to tell them in a nice way that it was fine if they didn't have all their shit together. You can afford to just have a bad moment sometimes, and it's totally fine. And I didn't expect it for the documentary to do well abroad, because I was expecting foreign audiences to just be like, oh, we know this already, we cry all the time, we shout all the time, we're fine, right?
We create a podcast
Exactly,
and talk
like
about
we're
it.
just chill. Why do you need to tell us that? We can be vulnerable whenever we want to. Obviously this is not true, so I got a lot of messages from people abroad. It's screened in the US, but also Denmark and other countries in Europe. So yeah, I was pretty surprised by that. Random messages, people being like, hey, I watched this and it reminded me of the day of, I don't know, when my dad died, and now I'm crying about it, but it feels nice. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool.
That's so powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's nice to see that, yeah, some people relate to it, even if, I think it's a bit of a stereotype to be like, oh, it's only in Japan that people have to repress their emotions. That's not true. It is partly true, but not completely true. So it was nice to see people that had nothing to do with Japan just relate to the story.
Exactly. That's when you know that your product is successful, like when you have random
Random
people
messages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Random nice messages.
Yeah, that's really nice. And what are, like, I know that you are also planning filming other projects and documentary. What is the biggest motivation behind doing the documentaries? Is it related to your personal stories, or you're just a person with with a lot of ideas and want to convey those ideas to the public?
I think documentaries, my ideas and my work are usually mainly about Japan. And I think the main motivation between that is that I feel like a lot of people only see Japan in a certain way, especially when you see films or TV shows or novels about Japan, not done by Japanese people, done from people who are outside from Japan. I feel like it's always very monotone. Like it's, oh, Japan is this, this, this. So it's sararima in trains in Shibuya. You have the Shibuya crossing. You have geisha, samurai, ninja. Like I feel like it's always one-sided.
Yeah.
Which I found very frustrating, because as you said earlier, like growing up in Japan, I feel like there's a very violent side to the society where you always have to like be in a little box, and if you step out, you're like your life is over sometimes, and you always have to like deliver things, and you always have to like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that people don't understand, and I kind of wanted to show that, being like, hey, Japan is not it's not always the very pretty, polite country that everyone imagine it is. I think so. Yeah.
There are definitely layers. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you live here, so I guess you understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I feel like there's, some sides of Japan that we don't really see in the media.
That's true.
Even in Japanese films,
That's true.
There's a lot of, poverty issues, racism, things like that we never really see or talk about, which is a bit frustrating.
I just recently discovered that there is also this stereotype that Japan is very safe, and
yeah,
but then there is a whole news channel committed to saying how many scammers are around here. It's just watching it, it's like, oh my gosh, do I really live here? Like,
oh
there are like some scammers, and especially those who are targeting the older elder people.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's
Yeah,
a whole channel just for that.
there is. Yeah, there is on
And you
on
were
YouTube.
watching that?
I was. I
Don't
like
watch it.
detectives. I don't
You're
know.
you're not gonna be able to go out ever again. You'll be in your house.
No,
and
I'm fine. I can do
Okay.
Aikido. I'm fine.
Okay, you're fine. Maybe I should go out with you then. Yeah. Oh yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, scammers. I've had also a lot of really creepy guys follow me around in trains and things like that.
That's
Do you
scary.
have that? Yeah. Or just like taking pictures under the skirts. You're like, what? Really? Yeah. So
Thank you, Noemi, so much for your insight.
I love how we finish on guys taking pictures under my skirt. This is like the main topic of today. Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming and sharing your story and the insight on the filming industry and your own work. So if you haven't seen Noemi's documentary, we're gonna put the link below. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Instagram, wherever we are.
Everything.
to do everything. So we will always deliver you the best stories. And if you're interested in certain topic or in certain guest, leave the comments below, and we will find that person,
And we will track them.
and we will track them.
And we will bring them here.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye bye.